Good afternoon to everyone except our Perth visitors, who I'll still say good morning to. I'm Karen from A2K Technologies, and thank you for joining us. I'm thrilled to have with me here Amanda and Alec from our partners at Eagle Point, who are going to speak to us a bit about exactly what Amanda's put up on the screen, Eagle Point and the Pinnacle Series, and to be perfectly honest, why it is much, much more than just an e-learning training offering. So I'll hand over to you, I guess, Alec. Do you want to have just a few words from the point of view of our partnership, and then we'll let Amanda do what she's so good at doing. Thank you.
Absolutely, Karen. Thanks for that introduction. As Karen said, everyone, my name is Alec Zamora. I am the Global Partner Management Team Lead here at Eagle Point, which is how I got involved with A2K. We've been partnered now for over a year, and they are one of our best partners around the globe. So we really appreciate all their support in the APAC region and for putting this presentation together. Amanda, I'll allow you to introduce yourself, and then we can kind of dive into our next steps here.
Perfect. Thank you, Alec, and thank you all for taking time to join us today. As Alec and Karen mentioned, my name is Amanda, and I'm the Solution Delivery Team Lead here at Eagle Point. And really that just means I lead a couple of teams internally within the organization, our customer success team and our content and technical services team, which we'll talk about some of those things as the presentation moves along. But I also get the unique opportunity to participate in these types of webinars. So thank you all again for taking time to join us, and I'm excited to show you the platform.
Thanks for that, Amanda. So Amanda and I have a brief agenda up here, and we don't plan to PowerPoint you at all to death, but we obviously made it through the introductions. And next, we kind of like to do a little bit of brief history on who is Eagle Point, which is our company name. Then we'll dive into why Pinnacle Series, 3 things that we really think make Pinnacle different, and then we'll actually get into the solution. And from there, we can take any sorts of questions afterwards. So that being said, let's dive into really who is Eagle Point. We've been in business since 1983. We actually started as a Autodesk add-on business. We had hundreds of applications actually on the market, and we sold those off to Autodesk about 10 years ago now, and that really, all that experience in the space led us to see some big problems that AEC firms were having out there, and in 2006, that led to the birth of the Pinnacle Series. And from there, it's really, really taken off. This slide actually, I just realized, isn't even updated. We're now well over 200,000 registered users in the Pinnacle Series platform today, which is extremely exciting. We're also a 30-year member of the Autodesk Developer Network, which really just means we're very keyed into what Autodesk is doing and allows us to do some really cool things with the platform, which Amanda will show here soon. And the other 2 things there, we always like to talk about the fact that we're a staff predominantly made up of architects and engineers, so we definitely feel all the problems, and hopefully we have a good solution here for you today. And then last but not least, again, another thing that we'll dive into when we get into the presentation is our integration with an assessment tool by the name of KnowledgeSmart. So that being said, I will turn it over to Amanda to really talk about the 3 problems that I spoke on here earlier.
Perfect. Thank you, Alec. And so really, as Alec mentioned, we've been in the space for a long time. And in the course of developing all of those design add-ons and applications that operated on top of your CAD applications, we found time and time again that firms we were working with were struggling with 3 main problems: that concepts of knowledge capturing and sharing, continuous learning, and increasing productivity, which is really what led us to develop the Pinnacle Series product. So just to unpack these briefly, because they're really the foundation of why Pinnacle exists and why users subscribe and leverage the platform. The first one being this concept of continuous learning. So as you think about year over year, the process of onboarding new employees, understanding where their skills are, ensuring they get onboarded in a cohesive and intelligent way that makes sense for your firm so that they can learn your standards and your ways of working and get in production faster, is a continuous challenge for firms. Nonetheless, you and I both know that the technology that is in this space is changing rapidly. It feels like in a heartbeat, new technology is out, new features are out, and you want to be sure that you're able to really fully leverage those platforms, bringing out the best products that you can, ensuring that you're staying on really the cutting edge of technology, and ensuring that your team members are doing that as well. It's a continuous challenge that firms face. So first, we sought to help firms overcome that concept of continuous learning throughout your career. Next, we move into knowledge capturing and sharing. And really, at the end of the day, this is just the ability for you to capture and share the best practices from your users across the firm. So not having just one expert in one office who houses all the best practices and the workflows and the best ways of working in their mind, but to capture that and share it across your office or across offices or disciplines or teams to ensure that everyone's working the same way, making sure that everyone's following the same best practices, and increasing your productivity by standardizing work and giving everyone one central repository to go to for those best practices and standards. And all of this really at the end of the day is pointed at increasing productivity. You and I both know that's the end game. We want to make sure that you're being able to produce very, very high quality projects on time, under budget, making your clients really happy. So at the end of the day, we're really trying to offer you an opportunity to capture and share those best practices, making them readily accessible, decreasing rework through increasing productivity, and empowering your staff to have one centralized repository to go to when they're stuck and they need help or they need to increase their skills. So at the end of the day, we're really targeting in at these three problems. I'm going to circle back around to them during the course of our presentation. Also, as I'm walking through the platform, if you have questions, don't hesitate to chat them out, or we will have time for questions at the end of the presentation as well, but we'll make sure that we make time for that. So as Alec mentioned, we don't really want to spend a lot of time in PowerPoint. That's all the PowerPoint I have for today. I want to spend most of the time today actually in the platform. So as my screen refreshes here, you should see Pinnacle Series pop up. And the first thing you'll notice is it actually lives in a browser. Pinnacle Series is a web-based application. You can use whatever browser you'd like. So I happen to be using Chrome, but if you use Internet Explorer, Firefox, any of those applications, that's fine. And then another theme I'm going to circle back to throughout the presentation is it's fully customizable. So you'll see from the things I show you that everything from the colors to the branding to the images to the content is all fully customizable, making sure that it becomes a trusted internal source for your personal use there within your firm. So we'll take a quick tour, but really by and large, when users log in, they're going to spend most of the time in the center part of their screen. They're either going to be searching for content when they're stuck and they need help, accessing content through their work groups, or accessing content through their learning. But we'll take that quick tour here. Along the left-hand panel, this is all fully customizable. Again, you can reconfigure the entire layout if you'd like to, but we have some opportunities here for branding. You can insert your own branding here, an image, and then also links. Again, making this kind of that one-stop shop where users can come to and then link out to other sources they need. But below that are the asset libraries, and this is actually where the content lives within the platform. We have two libraries here. Up above are some examples of libraries that our clients are building content on. So because it's fully customizable, making this a centralized repository for all of your information gives you the ability to create content on any topic of your choosing. But out of the box, Pinnacle offers you content on Adobe, Autodesk, very deep library in Autodesk, Bentley, Bluebeam, Business and Management, Inkscape, Health and Safety, ID8, Lumion, McNeil, Microsoft, and SketchUp. And this library is continuously growing. So I mentioned I lead the Content Technical Services team. That's the team of professionals that develop, create, and curate the libraries that live out here. They're engineers and architects and construction professionals with real-world experience who create content that live out here. But just kind of diving into the libraries. Excuse me. just kind of diving into the Autodesk library here. We'll open up Revit to show you kind of the depth of the content that lives in the platform. Now, because we've been in this space for so long, the libraries, especially surrounding the hero products for Autodesk, are really deep. So if you think about 11 learning paths that all house courses within them, 23 workflows, 242 documents, and 237 videos just for Revit 2020, we really have you covered with a deep library. But I mentioned at the onset of logging into the platform that that's why users spend most of their time in the center part of their screen, because diving in through the library, although you can do that, and there's some filtering and searching you can do there to make things nice and easy, you can also quickly get a hold of content right in the center part of your screen. So thinking for a moment a little bit about the 3 reasons why Pinnacle Series was created to begin with, first start with that concept of continuous learning, since that was our first example. So in the center part of my screen here as an end user, I see my courses. These are courses that I've either ran a search for or found through navigation and enrolled myself in, that I have been enrolled in by a manager, or that I have been enrolled in through the integration with KnowledgeSmart. This is the piece that really gets me excited. So we'll start there and then we'll talk about the other options. But our integration with KnowledgeSmart allows end users to receive very personalized training assigned to them based on their skills gaps. So to walk through this workflow a little bit, all you'd have to do from a management perspective is come out here to the management utility application and assign a user an assessment. Now this could be a new team member who's just onboarding and you want to understand where their skills are. It could be an interviewee, or it could be somebody who's been on your team for 15 years and is just learning a new platform. But assign them that assessment and they'll get a quick link that'll drive them out to the KnowledgeSmart platform. Out here we have assessments that range anywhere from an hour to a half hour long. They're usually pretty short and to the point. You can do a little bit longer if you'd like, but as users log in, they just progress through their assessment here, submitting their answers. And then once that's completed, Pinnacle Series generates for them a personalized learning path. I can see this one is triggered a little bit differently because it's got this KnowledgeSmart trophy here for me. So this AutoCAD Civil 3D learning path was generated for me as a result of an assessment that I took in the KnowledgeSmart platform. So immediately upon the completion of my assessment, Pinnacle Series assigned to me only the learning I needed to consume based on my skills gaps. So I only have to take 5 out of the 8 courses. And if I toggle on Show All Topics, I can now see the individual videos and documents and exercises that I no longer have to do because I've tested out of those. I've shown that I have a skill in that area and no longer have to consume that content. The power of this allows you to personalize your training, gear into your users a little bit more. They're going to lean into the training if they really understand that it was personalized for them, and also pare back your training time. Don't spend time learning on things you already know and understand. So really giving users the opportunity to test out a content. I mentioned there's a couple other ways you can get involved in learning. I can always come out here and just run a quick search and find a course that I'm interested in as a new learner. So if I'm interested in maybe finding out what's new in Autodesk 2020 products, I can come out here, expand out the description, expand out the description of the individual courses. And if this Civil 3D 2020 course looks interesting to me, you can see it's only about 5 minutes long. It's got a couple videos there on some new enhancements. I can hit enroll. As an end user, I can give myself a due date if that's important and just hit continue. From here, I can go straight into my course, or I can get back to work. I can go about my day, finish doing what I'm doing. But to show you what actually all lives in the courses once it's assigned or enrolled, I can log into this architectural course here. So the Pinnacle courses are going to be full of written information like this review here with the data set to download, videos as well, where I can just hit play on this and it picks me back up where I dropped off. There's also downloadable data sets and exercises. So to walk through these steps, ensuring I understand the concepts covered in this course. And then lastly, it's all capped off with a quiz. Try to keep quizzes nice and short. Just want to verify that you understand and have retained the information that's part of that learning path. Once I've finished it, it disappears from my homepage and moves up into my Learning Center. And this is where I can print a certificate, view my learning history, and enroll in additional training if I'm interested. But please know, you don't have to finish all of your learning at once. I said it really briefly, but you can come in and out of the platform as you have time, and it's going to pick you back up right where you left off. So we give users the opportunity to learn just when they have time and to not feel like they need to finish all of their learning in one sitting. From a management perspective, I mentioned the installed application where you can quickly come out here and assign assessments, assign training, or assign learning just by selecting the training you'd like to assign, hitting next, and then assigning either by an individual user or by groups. So if you have an entire beginner team or an entire division you'd like to assign, certainly can do that. Again, we can assign them a quick due date, email course notification, and then hit finish. And then all of those team members are enrolled in the learning path that I have assigned for them. We'll talk about reporting in a little bit, but know that everything within the back end of the platform is being recorded and reported on for your use. So switching gears a little bit, we know that at the end of the day, learning is maybe 10% of your career. You spend most of your time actually in project work, getting things done, actually in production. And that's where Pinnacle Series can come into play to help you in your day-to-day activities. So we really encourage organizations to leverage Pinnacle Series as that source of truth. So I've completed my onboarding, I'm actually up on projects, I'm in production, and now I'm stuck and I need help. I could tap somebody else on the shoulder, pull them out of production. Now we've got 2 people down, or I can come to the Pinnacle Series and run a quick search. Now it's going to filter through the content that's available to me here. And today I want to take a quick peek at a document. And let's see, we'll take a look at this one here. So our documents out of the box are quick tips, tricks, quick answers to get a user unstuck and back to work. They're going to have things like, of course, text, but as well as screen captures, links to open other documents, and links to even run commands. I'll show you that in just a moment. But know that, again, everything is fully customizable. So this is where you can take this document, download it, customize it, make it your way of working, ensuring that users are following your best practices and your standards, leveraging the tools the way you want them leveraged. If I need any additional information as a user, I can come over here to my related items, see some of the other content that's available to me. But I can also peek up here at my internal experts. So maybe this didn't quite answer the question I had. I can go ahead and reach out to that next level for support. I can also like this, share it. And if I'm the one getting tapped on the shoulder saying, hey, Amanda, can you help me with this? I can send them a quick link to this document or chat it over in Slack or in Teams, and giving the users that I'm working with the supporting content that they need to get unstuck and get back to work as well. So that is documents. Know that Pinnacle Series is unlimited cloud storage, so you do have the ability to upload Word, PowerPoint, Excel, PDF, and HTML documents, making them fully searchable and available to your end users at their fingertips. The other content that lives out here is we, of course, have videos. So run a quick search and check out a video here this afternoon. And let's narrow down by version year this time. And we'll hit play. So what you'll notice is all of our videos, for the most part, are going to be 5 minutes or less quick videos to get users, again, unstuck and back to work, really micro bursts of learning. Some of the cool features that are part of the videos are the ability to speed up or slow down a presenter, the ability to leverage closed captioning, and then we have a scrolling transcript along the right-hand side. Now, as a user is progressing through this video, if the information they need is down at the bottom, they can just skip ahead by clicking and the video will follow them. If they miss something the presenter said, just click back up. The video backs right back up. Just a fully responsive scrolling transcript. It also indexes the spoken word, now making the spoken word fully searchable. And again, because this is fully customizable, you guys can upload your own videos. With one click of a mouse, create this auto-scrolling transcript. The Pinnacle Series will generate that for you. And now make all of your videos indexed and fully searchable for your end users. The last piece of content I want to show you today, or type of content I want to show you today, is workflows. So we've talked a little bit about learning, we've talked about quick tips and quick answers to get users unstuck and back to work. But workflows really are the ability for you to standardize processes by giving users step-by-step instructions and tasks to get through an end deliverable. So as this workflow opens, know that you can navigate workflows in two ways. I can use the center or the left screen here, giving me a tree view of the workflow. I can also use the center part of my screen just by scrolling in with the scroll bar on my mouse. Or I can choose one or the other. So I don't have to have both, whichever makes the most sense for me. But as I walk through this workflow, the details of what I should be doing actually populated for me along the left hand or right hand side here. Within the details of this task, it's going to walk me step by step what I need to do to follow this workflow. So I could have this living on one screen, my project on the other, and step by step be following through the best practices, global best practices, and how to leverage Revit or how to use work sharing. For instance, there's hundreds of these out here. The exciting thing is you can download and tweak them and customize them and make them your own. But within the steps, we can do things like give you screen captures, actually even run a command. If I select this, I should have Revit open. I now have the Collaborate ribbon open. You're not just showing users what to do next, you're actually helping them run the command. So coming back into my workflow, there's additional things in here like supporting materials, where I can quickly watch this video on creating the central model, close out, and get on to the next task within my workflow. Now coming back home for a minute, I keep talking about how it's fully customizable. I want to show you how quick and easy that is. So again, you'd give the right users access to the installed application, but managing content is where you would be able to download and customize and manage the content that lives in the platform or upload any of your own. So this example, this workflow is one I have downloaded, just copied straight out of the Pinnacle Series platform, and now I can begin customizing and tweaking it. I can make it our personal way of working. I can do this simply by dragging and dropping and maybe entering into a task and beginning to edit the text within that task right off the bat. All right. Apologize, I moved locations here, so my screen isn't as friendly as it was earlier today, but I can just double click and that will open up the task for me to be able to start editing and tweaking. I'm just gonna delete that out. I know you can't see the whole thing right now. Because everything lives in the platform or in the cloud, it's all instantly accessible to your end users. So I made that small customization to the workflow. As I come into the platform and just search for that headquarters workflow I just customized, I can jump into it and see really quickly the small customization I did. Deleted some content out there and just moved this step here. Now that's pretty minimal, but if you have things like your best practices, a project checklist, BIM standards, CAD manuals that you want to upload, you've now made it all fully searchable and accessible to your end users anytime they have internet access. Now, a few other places that you have the ability to access content is of course also offline. So we know that you may be jumping on a plane or a train, maybe losing internet connection. You can always come out here and download content for offline viewing. Stays on your machine for just 2 weeks, and then it deletes itself off so you don't have to worry about bogging down your machine with content you're not using. showed you how to share content really quickly through an email. If maybe somebody was interested in learning more about a topic, or if I found something that was helpful, that I could share it with my teammates. But another way that we help organizations get access to content is through my work groups. So this is the ability for you to pull together the right group of content for the right users at the right time. So within my work groups, I can create a work group on any topic I'd like. So it could be by division, by project, by role, by office, but I can pull together the right videos, the right documents, the right learning paths, and the right workflows, and share them all with the right users. It's as quick as just creating a new work group and adding a name and a description. And once I have my work group created, I can begin sharing content into it just with that simple share icon on any of the content pieces, or through editing it while I'm here within the platform. Once I've got my contact, I just add in my users. I can add in owners who can add and remove users as well as content. I add in editors who can add and remove content. Or I add in users who simply can come out here and consume the content that's out here. But the powerful part about work groups is not only that you're pointing people at what to view, you're actually communicating with your team either through the comment section at the bottom or through the use of notifications, because every time a comment is made or every time a piece of content is added or removed from this work group, it now sends a communication out to all of your end users who are part of this work group through notification. And that can also be sent via email as well. We can push it out to email if that's helpful. So work groups are a really powerful way of being able to add content together to share with the team. You'll also be able to add in users from outside of your organization as well. If you're collaborating with subcontractors or consultants or other team members who need the actual training or standards that you have housed in the platform. Coming back home, there's a couple other things I want to share with you. And then I want to show you some of the administrative things you can do as well before we close out for questions. I popped into the My Assets area really quickly to show you downloading content, but this is also where you can just favorite items. So you don't have to search or navigate for them again. You just add them in here and favorite them. But I can also come in here either through this My Assets area or through the home page and create my own documents. So if I, as an end user, have a quick tip or a trick or something I learned that was really interesting that I don't want to forget, instead of jotting it down on a Post-it note and forgetting or putting it in a drawer somewhere, I can come out here and make a quick document for myself. Can add in the information I want to remember. And then just hit save. Now I have this saved for my own use. I see it there. And then anytime I need to reference this, it's right here on my home screen. The more exciting part of this from an administrative standpoint, and the back end, you can see the types of documents that people are creating for their own personal use and actually share them out. So now we quickly and easily shared information and shared best practices across users just simply by seeing those and then publishing them. I mentioned a final way to get content into users' hands, and that's actually through our integration in with the Autodesk products themselves. So within Revit, AutoCAD, and Civil 3D, you're able to actually access content while you're in project work. So as I hit that walls command, what popped up on my other screen is this related learning topics here. The exciting part about related learning topics is while I'm in project work, it's generating for me the relevant videos and documents and workflows that are helpful to me as I'm progressing through my project. It's following me command by command, generating for me the most relevant content. Now, again, because it's fully customizable, you can have your standards, your best practices, your information populating here for users, so it's one click away. Now, this is just pulling links. It's not pulling content, so it's not going to slow down your project work. If I find something that's interesting, I just simply follow the hyperlink. It's going to drive me back to Pinnacle Series, where I can then actually view the content. If I'm stuck and I need help, I have quick answers and quick solutions right here for me. And I can tuck this maybe on another screen or down the corner so it's not impacting my project workspace. So coming back to Pinnacle Series, we've talked a little bit about the interface. We've talked a little bit about the content that's available to you. I just want to also show you on the back end some of the exciting things that we do with reporting. So we first started off with learning. As I mentioned, we're following every pick and click as users progress through their content. And within our learning reports, we have a full dashboard here to keep you completely geared into what your users are learning. You can see who's learning, how much time they're spending learning, on what types of content, and through our report details, you can start getting really granular in actually where they're spending their time learning. You can dive into the actual details of who's learning, how much time they're spending learning, what the content, how much content they reviewed, and their quiz scores. So in this case, I should probably, as a manager, circle back around to Calvin and have a conversation with him. Maybe re-enroll him in that learning path, or enroll him in another one that might be a little bit more appropriate for his skills. I can, of course, export this all out to Excel or CSV if that's helpful. And we do have a fully exposed API as well. We also track every pick and click that users use within the platform on a day in, day out basis. So not just based on learning, but from a management perspective, I can come out here and I can see who's logging in, what types of content are they using, what are the top viewed pieces of content, who's creating and sharing content, and also what are people searching for. I mentioned that I lead the customer success team. This is a really important part of helping you to achieve success, is to have a nice pulse into what your users are searching for. So as you can see, I've had work sharing very much at the top of my search list. I should probably do some additional training on work sharing, or maybe stairs. If I'm seeing a same term being searched over and over and over again, gives me good insight into what my users are needing. From an administrative perspective, we do sync with Active Directory. We have the ability to dynamically bind with your Active Directory groups and sync people into the right roles the first time. You can also, of course, automate that. We also have a variety of options for SSO and quite a few settings in here regarding permissions and groups and the website itself. So again, we give you a lot of control over what users are seeing, how they see it, and what it actually looks like. So I've covered a lot of information at once. I know there was a quick chat out here, so one moment. Good question. So the question was, how do you access Revit commands through the Pinnacle series? Well, out of the box, Pinnacle series content is going to have those commands embedded into it. So I gave you that example of this one through the work sharing workflow. We do have an installed application called the Pinnacle User Tools. That's the tool that actually enables the browser itself to communicate with your Autodesk products. Typically from an installation point, it's a very, very small MSI. We usually do a silent deployment out to users, and then that immediately works. This is the same tool, that same installed application is the one that allows you to access content from your Autodesk products into Pinnacle. So it's that bi-directional plugin. It's a good question. Hopefully that answered that. And is there a list of the library you can pick and choose from? Very good question as well. So the library out of the box, I have a lot of titles here, but this is where you'd work with Karen and her team there at A2K to choose the right questions for your team, or the right libraries for your team. So if you're not using Adobe products, you don't have to choose Adobe. And then post-purchase, even dive in deeper into the content. If you purchase the Autodesk library, you can come in here and have full control over maybe standardizing in versions. So if you guys are standardized in 2018 and newer, we can turn off visibility to all the old content, and that'll further help the experience for end users through their searching and navigating for content. So I don't see any other chat questions. So with that, I'm going to jump back into our PowerPoint very briefly to ask if there's any other questions and to give Karen the opportunity to talk about next steps. So if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to chat those out.
Come on, everyone, this is your opportunity. Wow, Amanda, you've obviously done a really, really good job. We've got one there.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
yeah, it looks like we do have.
No, that was the previous one.
How can you turn off content for older versions? Good question. We do give you the ability within the management utility. So this is where you as an administrator for your platform would have the ability to come in here and control that in your manage content area. So this is the same area I came into to customize that workflow. This is also where I could just drag and drop my documents out here, my videos, and customize my learning. But I can come right in here and control that through this setting here. So I'm not going to open it today because my library is pretty full and it takes a moment, but that's just set in here. As an administrator of your platform, you have full control over that. But if you ever struggle with it, I'm sure the A2K team or our team are more than happy to help. Perfect. No, absolutely. Glad to help. Any other questions I can answer? Perfect. Okay. Karen, is there any next steps you'd like to touch on if attendees have additional questions or moving forward from
Amanda,
here?
there is one other question there.
Sure.
From Brendan, how do we access the Revit commands that Pinnacle can invoke? Is there a list or library from which we can pick to place into our custom course literature?
And you know, I think I answered the first part of that, and Brandon, I apologize, I missed the second part. There is a library out here. So coming back into our manage content area, if you chose to create your own workflows or your own documents, you could embed your links right in there. Let's see if it'll be a little more friendly to me now. I messed with my screen settings earlier today and it doesn't seem to like that very much. There we go. So if I wanted to add in a link in Revit or a command in Revit to run a command, I just simply hit new here. I see that Civil 3D commands are here, or I can run a Revit command. And if I'm interested, I can just browse right out. And because I have a Revit open, it's going to open a library of commands here for me. So the only contingent factor is you just have to have that application open. In the Pinnacle series, we'll browse through those different commands and allow you to insert them in. There we are.
Is that Brendan?
Thank you for clarifying that, Karen. I think I missed the tail end of that. I apologize.
You're welcome. I'm hoping there's lots more questions because I know there's a number of people online, so keep them coming. Any more questions from anyone? Anything that you would like to see different, or anything that you were hoping to see that you didn't see? Good job, Amanda, by the sounds of things. Sounds like everyone's very, very satisfied with what you've delivered to us all and how you've explained it, and obviously very, very happy about what they've seen of Pinnacle Series and how it can help them. So if anyone thinks of questions after they get off, certainly please just send them through to me, karen.lloyd@a2ktechnologies.com.au, and we'll be thrilled to provide those answers and help you a little bit more. Just one thing that I do want to touch on now, because Amanda has got KnowledgeSmart up on the screen. KnowledgeSmart and Eagle Point have a integration partnership. They are two different products, which do require two separate purchases, but they do integrate beautifully. I am looking at running a KnowledgeSmart webinar about its capabilities and what it can do for you. So keep an eye out. That will happen possibly on the 11th of March. So keep an eye out for the informative invitation for that as well. I'll say thank you very much, everyone.
Oh, Karen, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, we just had one more quick question before we close. Yep, sorry. Brandon, I know you asked if there's default KnowledgeSmart assessments. I pulled up their library here briefly for you. Now, of course, they have multiple version years for these platforms as well. But the out-of-the-box KnowledgeSmart content, such as this content on AutoCAD Fundamentals or Express, you could absolutely assign to users. It is mapped to our out-of-the-box learning. So immediately day one post-purchase, you can get rolling with this. But because both platforms are fully customizable, you can download and tweak the assessments, just like you can download and tweak the learning, and get users both assessed and learning in a way that makes sense for your firm. But day one out of the box, absolutely, there are default settings that are ready to go. So you don't have to do that customization to get working. And you can go ahead and assign right out of the box to your users that assessment that would then populate them into the appropriate learning that we have created as well. So good question.
So
thank you so much.
Amanda, thank you. I will just add on to that is on the proviso that the client has both a KnowledgeSmart subscription and a Pinnacle Series subscription.
Yes, thank you for that, Karen.
Yep. Okay. Any more questions? Jason, are you going to inform us of the cost of the Pinnacle Series and KnowledgeSmart subscriptions before the end of the webinar? Jason, I'll take that question, and I would say no, but I'll speak to you directly afterwards. The reason for that is that they're variables, particularly in regard to the KnowledgeSmart. As you can imagine, there's so many different products, and not all clients want to have tests of every product available to them. So it is tiered by the number of tests that you want in the year, and also the disciplines that you want to test on during the year. And similarly regards the Pinnacle Series, obviously depending on what topics that you're wanting to be learning, and how many staff, etc., etc. So we'll have a further in-depth discussion about that following our webinar today, if that's okay. Is that okay? Thank you. Cheers, and happy to speak with her. It'd be good if we can hook up a conversation and tell us something a little bit more to your specific business. Yes, Alec. Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thanks so much, Alec. Always lovely to have you explaining things and working with us to assist our clients. So thank you again. Thanks for giving up a very late night. So we shall talk to you later, and thank you everyone for joining us. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.